Call this Altoona City Council meeting to order Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We will now have a moment of silent prayer. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, would you take the roll call, please?
Councilman Beatty?
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich?
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
Here.
Councilman Ickes?
Here.
Councilman Kelly?
Here.
Mayor Pacifico?
Here. Okay, we have no presentations tonight, so we will open up the floor for public comment. But I do have to announce that after the last city council meeting and after the work session last month, we had executive sessions for both of those to discuss personnel. So with that, we'll open the floor for public comment. If anybody would like to address council, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes.
My name is Richard Cox. I'm the pastor of Overflow Church, and I would just like to start by taking this opportunity to thank you for your leadership. I am incredibly grateful to live in a city where our city leadership, area agencies, churches, businesses are working together for the good of the city. I moved here 12 years ago, and I want you to know that your leadership in this city is making a positive difference in our city, and I'm just grateful for that. I want to start out with that. For the last 10 years of Overflow's existence, we've been doing neighborhood cleanup days in our community and partnering with the citywide cleanup days. And last year, with the help of Mayor Pacifico and Councilman Ellis, we were able to significantly increase the resources for our cleanup days. For 10 years, we'd been sending out people with bags and picking up trash. And through their partnership last year and the nonprofit Altoona Has Hustle, able to start dealing with houses in our neighborhood that have small minor code violations, and getting Councilman Ellis was able to secure Bergmeyer's donation of roll-off dumpsters, so that we were able to significantly increase the amount of trash that we were removing from the neighborhood. And this year they were able to get the donation from Bergmeyer's hauling of 10 roll-off dumpsters, and so we are in the process of significantly increasing our cleanup day. Our goal this year is to begin recruiting people from outside our church to come alongside of us in the neighborhood. We started putting banners around town, posters, hoping to recruit 100 volunteers each Wednesday in the month of May from 4 p.m. To 8 p.m. We'll meet at Overflow Church. We've connected with local businesses. Leonard S. Fiore and J.C. Orr have become sponsors of our event and are encouraging their employees to come and volunteer after hours. We've partnered with Green Bean, Champion Roofing, Stuckey's. Many other businesses in the community are partnering with us because they want to see this a success. And so I just wanted to share today to update you and to invite the city of Altoona, anyone that cares about our city and wants to deal with the blight, to come and volunteer and be a part of our cleanup days that will be taking place next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Andre Holsey, president of the Blair County NAACP. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I appreciate your time and your ear this evening. I'm here today wearing two hats, both as president of the Blair County NAACP and as a member of the management team at the Gables building. In June of last year, the NAACP received a complaint that permitting and inspections in downtown were unusually delayed and exceedingly difficult for certain business owners over other business owners. In an early investigation spearheaded by the Hollidaysburg Community Watchdog, no malicious wrongdoing was found in or among public records, just conduct that was considered unhelpful and evasive. But based on the rhetoric of the last 3 council meetings, which included an outright breach of decorum to discuss rumors of the Gables building becoming an immigrant sanctuary and blatant calls to make out-of-town developers meet additional thresholds to do business, the NAACP has decided to reopen that investigation. Since Councilman Ellis's go-to word in these discussions was accountability, I'd like to present some immediate concerns for accountability and how the area's oldest and most powerful civil rights organization plans to hold each of you and your subordinates accountable. 1, I'm concerned that Councilman Butterbaugh and several other city officials have repeatedly endorsed that a 155,000 square foot building with twice the structural capacity of your average commercial building and walls nearly 3 feet thick is somehow falling apart. In doing so, you have significantly impacted the development prospects of that beloved building. And if you don't believe me, I encourage you to read the draft of your own comprehensive plan, where the consultants told the city that in no uncertain terms, that it must now rectify that wrong through direct assistance through taxpayer funds. It's a shame that $16 million of that assistance already went to the mill building so that it could sit empty for nearly 3 years. 2, I'm concerned that the same scrutiny applied to the Gables building under the current owner was not applied for decades of records now in my possession. From 10-foot gaping holes in walls to clear way for M&T Bank's unlawful and dangerous electrical systems mounted to the backside of the same bricks that this city would like removed off these buildings, to the decades of oversight on the now critically defunct parking garage. And on that point, I think it's prudent to let the people of this city know that this council was offered over 160 parking spots for downtown if it would match development spending to fix that parking garage, but declined. And yet in nearly every open house session of the comprehensive plan where my officers were involved in depth, I heard the same word from city officials about downtown every time: parking. 4, I'm concerned even more by reports on my desk that the city of Altoona potentially blocked out-of-town developers from buying vacant, dilapidated, and abandoned properties and lots for no other discernible reason than the fact that those buyers were from out of town. In response to that concern, we are already in discussions with the Department of Community and Economic Development. I'm concerned that the single most dismissive and disrespectful chain of communications with public officials in my entirety of time at the Blair County NAACP came during negotiations to open the Gables building. Negotiations that were held with the same fire chief whose signature is on previous fire safety certificates, the same certificates that could not have possibly been issued without walking past life-threatening fire hazards that are now being laid to rest on this building owner and used to crucify other out-of-town building owners. And I'm concerned that the interim city manager for the past few months is the same police chief I investigated for inappropriate relations and acceptance of funds from an unaudited bank account, a bank account which was filled under the direction of the same man who this city gave $16 million of taxpayer money to. And even if that wasn't the case, I'm curious what qualifies a police chief to manage a clearly already defunct municipality. I look forward to hearing the personnel discussion and vote on that point here to come. But apparently I wasn't the only one with these concerns. I know this because, you see, 2 weeks ago, I decided to give a call to the governor's office. And in discussions with the Commonwealth, the already existing discussions in these council chambers were mentioned in great detail. I believe the exact response from our contacts in the governor's various commissions were, these public officials and institutions think they can do whatever they want. It's disgusting, but they're going to feel the full force of the state. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take this as your official notice. The NAACP is through with vague threats of state involvement and trying to do business with pleasantries only to be met with closed doors. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mike Melhorn. I live on 6th Avenue and 27th Street. Councilman Beatty, you know where I live, you see my house. I try to take care of it. I live right on the corner, everybody can see my house. My neighbor, they grow weeds. Their sidewalk is crumbling. I've tried to work with them. It's been 5 years now. Codes has come out, and they're perfectly fine with it. I have pictures here of the sidewalk. It's crumbling. The weeds it's mid-April, they're already starting to get big. So I just want to know what can be done. I try to take care of my place. So this year, I'm just going to let the weeds grow like the neighbors do if nothing is going to be done. So thank you very much.
Mike, I received your email, and I did respond to it. And, you know, they are looking into it.
Well,
You know,
they
that-
came last year is the problem, and it was, I have pictures here if anybody would like to look at.
No, I'd love to see them, but, yeah, yeah,
You
Well,
know,
we're-
I'd just like to see what can be done. That's all.
yeah, we're on it. I made everybody aware, so thank you.
Thank you so much,
Uh-huh.
very much. No, I don't know.
Okay, is there any more public comment? All right, seeing none. Oh, nope, go ahead.
My name is Pam Mitchell. I live in the city of Altoona. I would just like to offer a couple comments in relation to last month's council meeting in regard to the rhetoric that was strewn around regarding the Gables building. And I believe Mr. Budaval's comment was, we're all aware that building is in need of attention or disrepair or whatever. I'm just very disappointed.
Well, hold on. What exactly were my comments? Because I do not recall
Well,
saying
you
the
can look at
building was
recording, but
falling
you
down.
can- you
The
can watch
building
the
needs
recording,
attention.
Mr. Budabaugh. You can watch the recording. When Mr.
And that
McCullough stood
owner,
up- when Mr.
that owner
McCullough
needs
stood
to
up-
be here
excuse
and
me.
represent himself
Excuse
too.
me, is this not public comment time, sir? Thank you. So I would like to.
It's not public lie time.
Okay, I would like to offer and extend an invitation for any of you to actually walk through the Gables building. Instead of just sitting here on the outside and passing judgment on what goes on in that building. How about that? Why don't we start there? Why don't you walk down and see the potential for that building? Why don't you extend a hand across the aisle and say, hey, you know what, really sorry these things are happening. This building is important to our town. Why don't we sit down and work together to come up with a plan to restore it, to revitalize it, to bring businesses back into downtown? Instead of sitting here and passing off rhetoric and judgment on things you are not privy to, regardless of what you read in paper coming across your desk.
This is typical nonsense
Is
from
it, Mr.
owners that
Budabaugh?
buy
Is it?
buildings and refuse to fix their own building.
Excuse
The
me,
city doesn't
everything
own
is
the
fixed.
building.
All the tags have
It's
been
not
removed.
our
We
responsibility.
have busted butt to make sure every demand was met. And we actually pushed back and you guys withdrew some of those demands because you knew it wasn't legal. So yeah, how about you read it before you come up here and pass judgment and argue with me, because I worked my butt off on that building. I worked to save the businesses that were in that building, including my own, that has been around for over 25 years, and I employ people that pay taxes in this city. Let's start there. Again, where is the cooperation?
Where's
that-
the owner?
Where's the owner?
Where's
He's
the
not
owner?
here. We are co-managers of the building, which is exactly what this city is required, and we're here. So again, I invite you all. Why don't you come walk the halls? Why don't you come down and have a conversation with us? The tags are removed. We are working to bring businesses back into that building to no assistance from any of you. Thank you.
First of all, the city wouldn't have been in that building if the heat would have been on. So you kind of have to take some responsibility
Okay.
for how that building fell into this
No one has
situation
disputed
in the
that
first
at all.
place.
No one has disputed that.
Okay,
ever.
the city would not have been in the building
And we're not
if you would have
disputing it.
taken care of the building.
The building is being taken care of. No one is disputing it. No one's disputing the fact that the sprinklers broke due to lack of heat. No one's disputing that. But no one has given any credit where credit is due with the work that's been done since then, and to rectify those issues, and to take care of everything that codes has asked for.
First of all, the parking garage has been condemned for how
Okay,
long?
Let's discuss that parking garage, Mr. Beatty, because I'm gonna tell you something. I've been in that building for over 23 years. That parking garage was a problem before Mr. Dodd ever owned it.
All right.
Are you gonna yell at her?
I know, it happens all the time.
No, listen, I want to finish this conversation because the city needs to know. I was in that building when the netting was put up to prevent the concrete from falling on the cars when Senior Life made complaints about it. No one condemned the garage then. Matter of fact, the pictures that are online from when the auction show the netting to stop the concrete from falling. That's record. I parked my car in that garage and had stuff dripping on it. I was there when Senior Life had a holy fit. And that's why all the signs are posted, you park at your own risk, because the previous owners weren't gonna take responsibility for any damages.
Okay, the
That's
fact.
the reality of it. Look at your own paperwork. I got documentation. So please stop putting everything in this owner's footstep, his feet, whenever that parking garage, you wouldn't use that, then talk to someone else, because I'm telling you, I've been there. I've parked in that garage for over 22 years. And I will be the first to testify the condition in that garage before Mr. Dodd ever owned it, before that ink was ever dry.
My name is Preston Mitchell. I live in Altoona. I am 22 years old. I work for JJG Plumbing, and my boss had told me a story about his wife, who is a elementary school teacher at Juniata Gap Elementary. She had a book that was in her classroom for 5th or 6th grade, I believe she teaches. Either way, it's an elementary school, so no matter what grade it is that she teaches at the school, there was a book that taught boys how to have sex with other boys. And to remove that from her classroom, she had to write a letter, she had to sit down and have meetings, she had to explain herself why she didn't want this book in her classroom in an elementary school where it should never be, ever. That disgusts me. I don't know I'm not educated on this whole process of government or anything of what you guys do. I just am an onlooker as a 22-year-old person paying taxes, doing the best he can. But that disgusts me. And the fact that that is in an elementary school is disgusting. And if there is anything else like that, it should be looked into and found out, because it doesn't matter what they believe in California or New York or whatever. But in this area, I can guarantee you, if you had a vote on who would allow that book in our elementary schools and who didn't, it would be a resounding no. Point blank, period. Also, she is my mother, so I feel like I should say something. I've been to 2 of these meetings, and as I previously stated, I'm not privy on what you guys do. I'm just privy on what I see in the city. And what I see in the city is not something to be proud of. And if you walk around this city and talk to average people that are my age, that are a little bit older than me, the people I work with, nobody's genuinely proud to be from Altoona. When they go on vacation, it's a sore sight for when they get back into town and look over and see the boulevard. It's a sore sight to their eyes. That's growing up. That's what people say. And now I look around and there's so many, it's getting worse. There's so many more homeless people. There's so much more drugs. There's so much more robbing of cars. There's so much more crime. It's all going out of control. And then when I come to these meetings, all I see is people arguing with people that care enough to come to a city council meeting and voice their concerns, unlike the other people. So it's like, if they come and voice their concerns, at least take them and give them at least that enough credit to be like, you came here, let me do something now. Because you voiced it, let me do my job. And at least and not say, oh, yeah, we'll look into it and we'll have other people do it. But why not you, and I'm not calling you out, but this is just an example. But why not you go to his house and be like, I'll bring the people and I'll make sure it gets done. Not, hey, I put somebody on it. It's just what I'm seeing. And it's just things can make people feel better about government. And I think that everybody can do better in government to make the town better. And that's just what I see. And I hope to be in one of your chairs at some point, because I seriously believe there needs to be a change. And it just doesn't seem like many people of your demographic care enough about making the change. And that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more public comment, now we will close the floor, and Linda, would you read the resolutions, please?
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Monday, March 11th, 2024. Item B is amending the delegate information in Resolution 74-21, removing the following voting delegates: Elizabeth Mosey, Omar Strom, A.C. Stickle, and appointing the following voting delegates: James Garrett, Wendy Boyles, as Tax Collection Committee representatives of the City of Altoona to serve on the Blair County Tax Collection Bureau. Item C is awarding the parking lots crack seal and seal coat project to K&K Seal Coating of Huntington in the amount of $45,067 payable from ARPA funds, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item D is awarding the Spring Run flood wall replacement and preservation project to Charles Merlot of Mineral Point, PA, in the amount of $999,500 payable from ARPA funds, further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item E is awarding the road materials bid for 2024-25 Package A and C to New Enterprise Stone and Lime in the amount of $30,762.50 payable from the general fund and highway aid, further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item F is awarding road materials bid 2024-25 Package B and D to Granis Brothers Stone and Asphalt in the amount of $140,095 payable from the general fund and highway aid, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item G is approving a 5-year lease agreement with Sarah Weimer of 5721 Kentucky Avenue for property located at 5725 Kentucky Avenue in order to maintain and enjoy the property in the amount of $5, and authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item H is amending the 2019 Community Development Block Grant Program, transferring $3,220 from the COVID-19 Salvation Army Pandemic Economic Assistance Program to the COVID-19 Nehemiah Meal Prep Program. Item I is amending the 2021 CDBG program, transferring $130,260.01 from the Altoona Housing Authority Fairview Hills Cement Revitalization Project and $28,230.22 from the Hamilton Park Phase 3 project to create the Altoona Housing Authority Pleasant Village Roadway Lighting Improvements Project. Item J is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Latrice Walker of Higher Moves, Jacksonville, Florida, for property located at 2005 to 07 3rd Avenue, in the amount of $400 for property located at 1513 to 15 North 6th Avenue, in the amount of $250 for property located at 306 Maple Avenue, in the amount of $250 for property located at 2409 to 11 Oak Avenue, and in the amount of $250 for property located at 2609 Maple Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district form. Item K is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Ortiz Capital of San Diego, California, for property located at 1808 12th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1810 12th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1900 to 02 10th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1904 to 06 10th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1616 11th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1618 11th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1108 17th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1110 17th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1514 to 16 18th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1518 18th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 1825 13th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 2015 13th Avenue, in the amount of $500 for property located at 606 North Street, in the North 6th Street, in the amount of $500 for property located at 303 North 6th Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district forms. Item L is accepting the completion of Joseph Merrill's term as interim city manager and accepting Joseph Merrill's return to the Altoona Police Department as chief of police, returning his base rate of pay and benefits to what he should currently be receiving as chief of police, effective Tuesday, April 9, 2024 at 7 a.m. Item M is accepting the completion of Derek Swope's term as interim chief of police and accepting Derek Swope's return to the Altoona Police Department as deputy chief of police and returning his base rate of pay and benefits to what he should currently be receiving as deputy chief of police, effective Tuesday, April 9, 2024 at 7 a.m. Item N is appointing Nathan Kissel to the position of interim city manager, effective Tuesday, April 9, 2024 at 7 a.m. at a gross monthly base rate of $13,778.82 with the same benefits he is currently receiving through the city of Altoona. Said status as interim city manager shall remain effective until the city council appoints a new city manager. Are there any deletions or anything that needs to be pulled for separate vote?
Yeah, I'd like to pull J and K for separate vote.
Okay, I'm going to call for the consent vote on all items excluding item J and K first. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
Councilman Kelly,
Yes.
and Mayor Pacifico.
Yes.
And the consent vote passes 7-0. The vote on item
J and K.
J, is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Latrice Walker of Higher Moves of Jacksonville, Florida for 2005 to 07 3rd Avenue, $400 for property at 1513 to 15 North 6th Avenue, $250 for property at 306 Maple Avenue, $250 for property at 2409 to 11 Oak Avenue, $250 for property located at 2609 Maple Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district form. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty,
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
No.
Councilwoman Klinich,
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis,
No.
Councilman Ickes,
No.
Councilman Kelly,
No.
Mayor Pacifico,
No.
and the vote does not pass, 0-7. The second resolution is item K, which is approving a repository bid in the amount of $500 submitted by Ortiz Capital of San Diego, California, for property at 1808 12th Avenue in the amount of $500. Where's my place? And $500 for property at 1810 12th Avenue, $500 for property at 1900 to 02 10th Street, $500 for property at 1904 to 06 10th Street, $500 for property located at 1616 11th Street, $500 for property at 1618 11th Street, $500 for property at 1108 17th Avenue, $500 for property at 1110 17th Avenue, $500 for property at 1514 to 16 18th Street, $500 for property at 1518 18th Street, $500 for property at 1825 13th Avenue, $500 for property at 2015 13th Avenue, $500 for property at 606 North 6th Street, $500 for property at 303 North 6th Avenue, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute the taxing district forms. I'll call for the vote. Councilman Beatty?
No.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
No.
Councilwoman Klinich?
No.
Vice Mayor Ellis?
No.
Councilman Ickes?
No.
Councilman Kelly?
No.
Mayor Pacifico?
No.
The vote does not pass, 0-7.
Okay, we'll move on to city manager updates.
Nothing for you tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Council discussion items. Councilman Kelly?
Mayor, I have nothing to offer tonight, thank you.
Councilman Ickes?
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Butterbaugh?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Ellis?
Yes, I want to thank Pastor Cox for coming over. His church has stepped up in so many ways in different programs around the city, and it's good to see the investment that he's made in our city. Thank you.
Councilman Beatty?
I'm good.
Councilwoman Clinch? All right. Questions from the media. Bill?
Thank you. Would anybody care to comment on the comments by Andre Holsey and Pam Mitchell? Particularly their accusation, their accusations that the city was harder, or is being harder on the current owner than on previous owners about code issues. Okay. Could somebody explain the Kentucky Avenue lease agreement?
So Bill, that's a property that's adjacent to another property, and the property owner has requested, to lease the property. Her existing term, which was a 10-year lease, was up, and she was interested in just extending her lease for another 5 years. Really,
she's
it's
leasing
one
it
of
from the city.
Yeah, it's one of the properties that had been part of a flood removal project. She had, stayed in her household. She didn't move, so she maintains the property as her own.
You mean like a
That's
neighboring
all
property? That's
correct. Yeah.
Just as like a side yard or something?
Yes,
like that?
correct.
Oh, okay. Could somebody explain why the change in interim city manager now?
So I had signed up to be the interim city manager while they started a process to look for the next city manager. That process actually started before Omar had even left. Council just recently finished that first process, which was unsuccessful. There had been talks on whether I'd be willing to stay on as permanent city manager, which at this time is not something I'm interested in. I want to finish my career at the police department. And given that Nate Kissel has the opportunity to be able to step up and there be continuity between everything that's been going on, and everyone's confident that he can do just as good, if not a better job than me. So it's just passing the torch to him.
Were you offered the job as permanent manager?
No, I don't think that's fair. I think just conversations had come up on whether I was willing to or not.
I mean, whether you were willing to apply for it, is that fair?
Correct, yeah. I did not apply for the first process. The first process came and went. Interviews were conducted, applications were, and then I think it would probably, I'll let council speak to it, but I think it would probably be fair that there was conversations on whether I'd be willing to or not. And again, I want to finish my career out with the Altoona Police Department.
I mean, not to press too much, but why would you want to continue to be a police officer instead
I've
of a...
done over 18 years as a police officer, and it's my family's chosen profession, and I'd like to finish my career off with that profession.
Could somebody from council explain how the process went? Like what you did to get a permanent manager and how it fell through, I guess, or how it didn't happen?
Yeah, we advertised for it, Bill. We got applications of interested party or resumes of interested individuals. We conducted two interviews with two of the candidates. Ultimately, though, we're still looking.
How many answers to applications do you get?
Do you recall how many we got? 15 maybe? 14 or 15?
How widely did you advertise?
Pretty far. We advertised on the usual channels, Indeed, the League of Cities. We advertised through them. So we got some interest from other states, couple interested people from Florida, but yeah.
I take it from the agenda that you are going to try again. Is that correct?
We're gonna try something, but yeah, so like Joe said, we were really hoping to have a full-time permanent manager in here by now so that we could relieve Joe of his duties and get him back to the police department. And we thought that, with the amount of time that has passed, maybe it's a good idea to get Joe back there and try to figure out a new game plan. So that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the risk of asking an awkward question, is Nate a candidate for permanent manager at this point?
Right.
At this point, there are no candidates for full-time manager.
Okay.
Joe did an excellent job, and the entire staff stepped up big time to be supportive to him and supportive to one another. And not only was the management done in a good way, but the rest of the team really grew, really worked hard together, and just excellent teamwork all around and hard work by everybody.
Bill, just if I could maybe add a little perspective on this, just so you don't think that this situation in Altoona and our search is unique. You recall Peter Marshall, and
Yeah.
Peter still does his consulting work. Peter's working with the municipality in eastern Pennsylvania, smaller than Altoona, having similar struggles trying to attract someone to be a manager for their municipality. So,
Do you know why there's difficulty finding people?
This is municipal management is a dying career field that not a lot of people are going to school for, so there's even less qualified managers out there to go around, so I think at some point, if we continue to not produce any results in terms of qualified candidates, we may have to, regroup and reconsider some alternative.
Like what possible alternative?
I don't know. I mean, there's consultants out there that, like Bruce mentioned, Peter's a consultant, and that's what he does. So, looking to see what consulting firms are out there that can provide us some interim management to kind of carry us over to where we can find somebody, and maybe they could also help us recruit and find a manager as well.
Are you actively pursuing that angle now?
I think it's safe to say that we're looking at all options. And again, one of the issues when we see good municipal managers or people with experience, a lot of them are very happy to stay where they are because they've got time invested in that municipality, they have time invested in that pension plan. And for them to pick up and come to another municipality is a bit of a problem, and they want to stay put. And we've had people that have applied from all over the eastern United States, but one of the problems is, whether they have not been in a municipality that has had large enough personnel that would we think that experience would translate to managing over 200 employees, or someone with not quite the length of experience. So, but and you've been around to see many of the searches, and I've been involved with them too. And this is kind of not surprising, so.
Okay.
So we're gonna
It's
have to
tough.
keep looking because we do want to find the best possible candidate that we can get.
We're a full-service community, and so that adds another element of difficulty into the mix.
Do you mean having a police force and a fire
Yeah,
department?
because a lot of folks don't have that experience of having to be in a management position over multiple departments of first responders, along with the day-to-day public works, engineering, and things of that nature. Plus, being a third-class city, there's a lot more that we do that we're required to do than other municipalities.
Okay, thank you. I know I've heard this before, but in connection with what Pam and Andre said, could you, I guess, re-explain your rationale for turning down repository offers from out-of-town people?
Blight prevention.
Could you elaborate?
It makes it very difficult when there's nobody here that is responsible for the money that may be involved into fixing the properties or the work that needs to be done.
Okay. That's all I have, thanks.
Meeting is adjourned.